So overall, how has the spring been for you and Accept so far?
The spring has been quite, well, I wouldn't really say quiet, but we haven't been on tour quite yet. We're basically bracing ourselves to go on tour for the rest of the year. So we had a couple of months. We've done a cruise in the spring. I mean, when was that? In February? Like the Monsters of Rock cruise in Miami, from Miami. But that was the only shows we've done this year. But now it's going to get really super intense touring. We're going to South America next, and then all of the festivals in Europe, and then to America, and then back to Europe. And oof. Of course, the album is going to come out in 2 weeks. So that's a big deal. You know, I've been doing tons of press for that.
And it's album number 17.
Crazy, huh? Yeah, I know.
does it feel old on your end that it's album number 17?
That doesn't really mean anything to me, to be honest. It's just a new album. I'm very excited about it. Well, it's the same thing as when people tell me I've been in this business for almost 50 years, which is true, but it doesn't really feel like that, to be honest. And then again, I'm not sure what 50 years is supposed to feel like either. So it's just like, I can tell you, it just doesn't feel like it.
But has it become like physically more demanding to play the shows?
No, not for me. I'm having a ball. I'm really, the more the better for me. But of course, yeah, I mean, the travel is harder than doing the shows, I would say, you know.
Okay. So that's the toughest part for you.
Yeah, I would think so. Like, for instance, we're going to go like the South American trip, you know, just to go from Nashville to Brazil is like a 10-hour trip. And then we're going to Chile and like Mexico and Peru. And I mean, you name it, we're going to be there, every country down there. And so it's a lot of hours on planes and airports and such. So that's takes its toll.
So Humanoid, the next album will
Yes,
be out on April 26th, and it's going to be out through Napalm Records. So
that's correct.
what kind of like process it was for you to make this one? Was it like easier, more, does it become like more difficult the more album you release, or how does it feel on your end?
No, I think there's a certain routine. It gets a little easier, the recording process, only because we know each other really well and we kind of know how long it takes. And we know, you know, we know Andy really well. So we know what the process looks like. And that makes things easier in that sense. But songwriting is about the same as it always was. It's a little bit of a chore to get 10 good songs together that you're happy with. You know, they don't really just come to you or to me or anybody in the middle of the night and boom, there they are. No, it really, you sort of have to sit down and work this shit out, you know, and it takes time. It's just a bit of an effort and it's a bit of an undertaking. It's almost like I don't know, you got to get in the right frame of mind and set time aside. And, you know, it's going to take a few weeks and months. You can't do it in 2 weeks. It's just more 6 months or whatever until you have enough songs together.
So do you work like well under pressure, or do you want to have it like as long time as you just need with the songs?
Somewhere in between. I think I need a little pressure because if there's no pressure, nothing gets ever done, you know. There's always a tendency. Yeah, that's a tendency to, I see, well, can do it. But if there's, you know, if there's some sort of a deadline, you mentally prepare yourself for it and you get it done. If there's too much pressure, especially with songwriting, that's not good either, because sometimes you just need to be able to walk away from it and let it sit for a bit. And if you can't do that, then there's a chance that might have to make compromises. And, you know, I've learned to listen to my gut feeling, and I kind of know when a song is ripe, so to say, when it's done. And I also know when it's not done, when there's something that doesn't sit quite right, and sometimes you just have to let it walk away from it and come back another day.
And that's the process which has been like good for you through the years always.
Yeah, and that really hasn't changed all the way from the 80s. You know, back then we recorded on tape recorders in rehearsal rooms, and now we do it in a studio with different tools and equipment, but it's basically almost identical, to be honest.
Has it become like harder and harder with each album to sort of write music that satisfies yourself as a musician?
doesn't get easier, but it's not impossible to do. I mean, if you get your mind right, and I mean, for me, luckily, I never really have much of a writer's block where you feel like you have no ideas left whatsoever. At least not yet. You know, sometimes you have it. You think like, yeah, you get into this mind funk where you think like, oh, it's all shit. I gotta, you know. But then the only solution is to take a bit of a break and come back to it, because I know I always tell myself, well, I've been doing it for so long. I had ideas back then, so why shouldn't it happen now? You know, nothing really has changed unless I change it, you know. So I almost tried to put myself back into the spirit of a teenager and think like, you know, let's not overthink stuff and just have a bit of fun and write some riffs that are cool and see where it goes. And that usually works quite well. If you start overthinking and if you start analyzing yourself too much and you're too critical with every little bit that you do, then yeah, there's a chance of getting stuck quite easily. And I've been there many times, but you know, luckily you work your way out of it.
So do you always start like writing from like a clean slate, or do you have like some older riffs that you have archived which you may use or may not use, or how does that work for you?
Well, of course, there's always leftover ideas with every album. I mean, tons of them, because you never really just write 10 songs or 12 songs and that's it. You know, you start on a million ideas and some of them never get seen through. They're just sort of get stuck halfway through, and I don't know, and they don't seem to have the right vibe, or they don't seem to fit the rest of the songs, so they get left aside. But when it's time for a new album, it's not very sexy to go back to leftover stuff. It's always more exciting to go to and write new stuff. So that's usually what happens, because it's almost like, I don't know, there's always a chance that this next song that I'm going to come up with is the best one ever. That's how I like to think. So if I go back to something that I know didn't make the cut last time, there's always this bit of a feeling like, well, it's a bit stale. It's almost like, you know, not as exciting.
So is there like some specific track on the album where you sort of started building the album over?
No, not Sandra, but there's probably some, trying to think which songs. I think one of the first songs that I felt pretty good about, and I was pretty sure it's going to make the cut, is maybe Mind Games, from what I remember. But then I had a bunch of other stuff where I thought like, I don't know, is this any good? And what I did, I just asked for help. I went to Andy Sneap's studio and asked him, hey man, can we listen to all the accumulated stuff that we have, and can you give me some, I don't know, some input, and what do you think is good enough to work on? And that's what we did. You know, we listened through all the riffs and all the ideas that were sort of in rough shape, in one shape or another, and then we started basically say, let's take this one and see what we can do with it, and you know, change the key here, do this, take a tempo there, put a break in, and all of a sudden, before you know it, songs start to take shape. Sometimes it's nice to have a friend and a guiding hand in all this, and not have to do everything alone.
So Andy has like very essential role.
He does. He's got I mean, he's the one that I trust, you know, for years now to tell me which songs we should focus on and which not. And, you know, unless we have a serious disagreement, which we never really seem to do. I mean, I would put my foot down if he says this is shit, and I would say, no, this is brilliant. Then I would probably say, I insist on it, but I don't think it hardly ever happens. We're mostly in agreement.
He is somebody who you like respect a lot, and he's open.
I do.
If he says that you should do this like this way instead of what you have done, you most likely will listen to him.
I would, and I have in the past, and it's served us well. You know, we're, like I said, like they say, never change a winning team. It's been going really, really well. I mean, we have a really consistent string of albums with Andy for 15 years, and 6 studio albums, bunch of live albums, and even my solo album he worked on. So, I mean, I really trust him. He's a good guy, and he's, you know, easygoing, fun to be around, and knows his shit. You know, that's important. So he knows how to record guitars. He knows how to get great drum sounds, and, you know, to work with vocals. So yeah, we get
Plus,
along fine. Perfect, good
plus,
team.
plus he's a massive heavy metal fan as well, so he knows his shit
That's right.
in that sense.
That's right. That's right.
So what can you tell us about the like lyrical ideas behind the album? Where did you draw like the inspiration?
Well, the title track, for instance, was really inspired. You know, the way that I work, sometimes when I come up with riffs and stuff, I need a little inspiration, and I have a list of song titles that I find inspiring, or just words or sayings or stuff. So one of those was Humanoid. I just thought, ooh, that sounds cool. And, you know, I immediately had this vision in my head of half man, half machine kind of thing. I thought, ooh, that could make a good album title or a good song title, first of all. So we started working on that, and the more you think about it, you know, then all of a sudden AI comes up, because that's what everybody's talking about right now.
Yeah.
So we figured, and that's one of the reasons why we chose it as an album title, because man, it's sort of very current right now, and also it's, you know, it's probably the strongest title of all the songs.
So how do you see AI like overall as a musician? There's like bands who are using AI to do cover art, bands who are using even AI to do music. So how do you see it yourself?
Well, I used to say, well, it's nothing to worry about. I'm not afraid. And you know, it's just another tool. Until recently, I heard a bunch of songs that sort of blew my mind, where I thought like, God damn, this is pretty scary good, you know? So I'm thinking like, yeah, it's gonna change stuff. Maybe not so much for us, because we're an established band and we have a fan basis, and we have, I don't know, a long legacy. We've got all these studio albums, so we, you know, I don't think our fans are gonna like desert us just because AI is around. But man, in general, it's gonna have an impact. I mean, it's, I could ask you the same question, right? I mean, is it gonna have an impact on journalists? You bet it will. Maybe not for you. Maybe you're established enough, and maybe you're whatever. But you know, some people are just gonna follow. It's gonna have an impact. It's gonna take some work away. No.
Yeah, and it's easy to use it, for example, translations. If you want to do a text
Yeah.
from Finnish to English, it does pretty good job in that. So I must agree that I have used it in translations, and it's pretty good
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. And I mean, you can use it for all kinds of things, like writing emails, song lyrics, to I don't know, videos and stuff. And it's scary. It's scary. So we'll have to wait and see, man. I don't really have a solution. I don't have a message. I have not. I'm just sort of wrote a song about it, if you know what I mean. But that doesn't mean I know the answer. It doesn't mean I have the answers for all that stuff.
But would you use like AI to help you create song? If you would have a song which you are like stuck and you don't know how to continue, would you ask like AI that, hey, could you do me like 5 different samples, if you would see that some of them would work or not, or do you see that like very far away thought?
I hope not. No, I don't hope I'm ever in the position where I have to do that. I mean, so far we've made all this music without the help of AI, and I think, I don't know how what the solution is for the future. If there's going to be some sort of regulation in place where it's going to be detectable, and maybe you have to like tell people, hey, this is created with the help of AI, whether it's text or video or whatever. I guess it's so new. We don't really have a solution for it, how to deal with it. But personally, I would want to stay away from it, man.
There is already on YouTube that you, if you are uploading a video and you use AI for it, there is an option that you have to tick on a box that you've used AI to create the video.
Oh,
So
interesting, interesting. Yeah,
like slowly.
and I'm sure there could be some sort of metadata embedded into audio files that could be detectable, and I think that might be a thing to do in the future. But I don't know, man. I'm the wrong guy to ask, you know.
A little bit about the future in the end. So Accept will actually turn 50 years in
Yeah, I know.
2026. So
Crazy, isn't it?
have you thought about doing some kind of anniversaries already, or?
I have not, but I've been asked so many times lately that I better start thinking soon, because it seems to be on a lot of people's mind. And in the past, I've always sort of been shy about all these anniversaries, because we have so many stuff that we could celebrate. Like this year's 40-year Balls to the Wall, next year's 40-year
Something.
Metal Heart, 30 years Accept, but I guess maybe for the 50-year anniversary, there should be something special happening. But what it is and what it looks like, I haven't had time to think about it much, to be honest.
How do you see the future like overall in Accept? Will you plan on like playing as far as it's just like physically possible for you?
No, absolutely. I'm gonna die on stage, my man. I'm gonna be up. You have to carry my ass off stage one day and put it in a box. I'm in it's my intention to die on stage. Whether I succeed is another story, but that's my
So hey, Wolf, thanks a lot for taking the time to talk to me.
thank you.
And all the best for the
Brilliant.
future.
And thanks.
Anything you want to say?
Thanks for being so flexible
to Finnish fans.
Oh yeah. Hello Finland and hello Finnish fans. I mean, I'm super happy and grateful to have this long standing relationship with Finland. I mean, we always love coming up there. The Finnish fans have been super loyal over the years. And I remember going up there from, I mean, decades now, and I can't wait to be in Finland again. So everybody enjoy the new album, Humanoid, April 26th on Napalm Records. And until we meet again, stay metal.
Hey, thanks a lot for taking the time and all the best.